All right, welcome. Sign in, and we'll start in about a minute. If you will, your first name, last name, and class period would be awesome. You know, like Brett Latham, whatever period. All right, we're getting people to register and sign on. That's awesome. If you send your name and your class period, that would be great, right? Brett Latham, fourth period, whatever period it is for you right now. I've been here about 2.5 hours, so I guess this would be my fourth period, but it's not yours. I'm super excited that you're all here. We're going to go over a few things. We're going to make sure that you're ready, that you know what's going on. And we're going to let you ask questions. One thing I want to let you know really quickly, and I'll try to remind you a couple of times, is you're going to get credit for just attending this, okay? You're not going to turn in anything. If you attend, you need to sign in at the beginning, and then at the end, you need to sign out. And when you sign out at the end, I'm going to tell you what to sign out with. And your sign out at the end will be slightly different than your sign out at the beginning. And that'll change every single assignment. That way you can come in, watch the video. When I tell you how to sign out, you can sign out, and then we'll sign out towards the end. We'll probably sign out a little before the end, but we'll sign out towards the end. And that way you get credit for just showing up, because honestly, I know things are tough, and I'm really glad you're signed up. You're here. Okay, here we go. The economics behind the coronavirus is fascinating, and you guys are amazing. I want you to take advantage of this opportunity to learn something new, and I want you to keep the faith. Okay, I know it's tough. It may get tougher before it gets easier, but we're going to get through this. Okay, what I want you to do is work on what you can control. I'm working on delivering material using more technology. That's something I can control. I'm also working on my yard, my house, so I can control that too. You should see the bushes; they're looking really good. I'm deliberately cutting back on your material. We can do this at least partly because Unit 6 from both exams is now eliminated. So we don't have to go over Unit 6. We have to finish Unit 5. Basically, what they did is they assumed that you were teaching both micro and macro, each one over a year. And they said you ought to be 5/6 of the way through the year. Well, obviously, we did them in semesters. So that puts us at a tiny bit of a disadvantage. But lots of people are going to be at that same disadvantage. So you're going to be fine. Plus, you're in pretty good shape. You've learned all of micro, so you're good there. And macro, we're closer than you think. There isn't that much left to cover. And what we cover, you'll be like, hey, I kind of know that already. You'll especially see that with Module 30 and 31 here, where you're like, hey, we already did this stuff. We already talked about it. There are no multiple choice questions. This year, you're going to get to decide whether or not you test. Okay, you're going to be able to say, you know what, I don't want to test. I'm too upset. I'm sick. I'm whatever. You get to decide whether you test or not. I don't know exactly the logistics of that, but we'll know in the next couple of weeks. I want all of you to test. Okay, pass, fail, whatever. I believe you can all pass this thing. I think you're going to find it much easier than you thought it was going to be. But I believe just in every one of you. And with all of that, let's get started here. If I can find my pen, which I somehow already, okay, there we go. I didn't lose it. I got it right here. All right, so let's get this guy out of the way. Okay, your AP test, it's going to be an FRQ. It's going to be 45 minutes. It's going to be open notes, and we are going to get you a kick butt group of notes. You're going to be like, oh my goodness, these notes are really good, and you're going to do them yourself. because by you doing them yourself, you'll know them better. You'll be in better shape. Okay. The actual test material, we don't know exactly what this test is going to look like, although it's going to be FRQs, but we don't know what those FRQs are going to look like. But supposedly by Friday, they're going to let us know. So we'll tell you more about that soon. And it's like, I guarantee you can pass these tests. You're going to find them easier. And also, you won't have taken a bunch of 3 and 4 hour AP tests, like 5 or 6 before you take this one. So that'll help too. There's no unit 6. And there's going to be little or no definitions. So we're going to back off on definitions a little bit, not too worried too much about that, but you got to know what they're talking about, right? No multiple choice question. But my guess is everything's going to be explained because they're trying to differentiate. So you can do this. The test will be at a fixed time. And you're going to have to get on your laptop or whatever, and you're going to have 45 minutes and it's going to boom, boom, boom. Everybody's going to take it at the same time, although I understand there's going to be at least 2 options. So you can take the test early or late. Let's say it's May, the middle of May, and then again at the end of May. My guess is all of you will want to take the test in the middle of May, and you'll probably be able to work that out. But we'll go with it. We'll figure it out soon. Okay, it won't take that long. Okay, what we do know for sure, okay, we're online for now. And there's a pretty good chance you're not going to step foot in this building again the rest of the semester. We'll see. We never know, but there's a pretty good chance. We're already extended to the end of April now. And by the end of April, it's impossible for us to social distance inside the classroom, inside schools. And so schools may be one of the last things that reopens, which means there's not a great chance to reopen, but we'll see. Who knows? Keep up the faith. If you want to reopen, you keep believing and maybe it'll work out. Okay. As far as credit, if you watch the entire live presentation, in other words, you give me feedback at the end of the presentation, you get credit, period, end of story. However, if you can't make it, okay, the recording goes up. It goes up pretty fast, as fast as YouTube can get it. So probably about half an hour or so, but it goes up pretty fast, whatever that is. And if you miss the live recording, then you can email or text or send me a picture of your notes of this. And you're going to have to take notes of it. Now, if you watch it live, you can take notes. You don't have to take notes. If I were going to do it, I would try to take notes live, but I would keep them crisp. And then if I needed to go back and check things, then you can kind of, zip through the video, find the spot and move on. You can mark like the time or something like that. You can figure it out pretty well, but I think that'll work out pretty good. And you guys are smart. You'll figure it out. We may turn in certain assignments using either OneDrive or Google Classroom. And so it'll look kind of like Mr. Peter Duffer's stuff, where you put the answer in, you hit submit, boom, and I get it, and I'll grade it that way. But if we do this, and when we do this, I will let you know in advance. So you'll know you're doing it. You'll just boom, 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 type it out. You'll be doing basically the same amount of work, but instead of writing it out, you'll type it. You will take tests. You will take tests on AP Classroom. They will be at specific times. Your computer will be locked up and stuff like that. You won't have a whole lot of time. And you'll be encouraged to do it fairly, and there'll be some variation and all to make it more difficult to cheat. In other words, your grade will be credible. Okay, that will be your primary source of your grade. But it's like, guys, I am going to work with you. You are not failing this 9 weeks. You put forth any amount of effort and show me you want something. You will not fail this 9 weeks. I promise you. Okay. If you're coming in late, make sure you message me. And if you would tell me your class period 2, so Brett Latham, 4th period. And then we're going to do this at the end to give you credit for this. Okay. We'll also do progress checks. Progress checks will just be just like before. You need to get them done and turn them in, and you'll be okay. Let's see if I can do this. Okay, checking for questions. And I see none. So I must be doing a great job. Okay, we'll go with it. Okay, you should have module 30 in front of you. I'll give you a few seconds to get module 30 in front of you. I'm going to give you the answers, okay? You need to be doing the work. I'm going to give you the answers so you can make sure you understand this. Guys, this is college, right? Your professor assigns you homework. You do the homework. He doesn't give you credit for it. But if you don't do the homework, then you struggle in class and ultimately you struggle on his exams. So please, you've got a little bit extra time. Please do your work. I'll also fill in another little fun fact. Class is Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, okay? Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. You have class 3 days a week. Sounds like college, woohoo! And class is 35 minutes. So Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, 9:25 to 10 o'clock. By 10 o'clock, even if I'm not done, I'm going to give you the secret code and you can send your message in and you're going to get credit for being in class. I may continue for a few minutes and you may want to watch that few minutes on the video, but I'm really going to try to be done at 10 o'clock. Guys, you have so much on your plates. I don't want to be that teacher that makes you do an hour and a half of work every day. It just doesn't make sense. So that means Wednesday, since we probably won't have class, in this class, you can work on your homework during class time, and then same thing Friday. And so you can use Wednesday and Friday to get your work done. We will probably test on Wednesday or Friday. Okay, so Monday, Tuesday, Thursday will be lecture. So when we have a test, it'll either be on Wednesday or Friday. Right now, it looks like your first test will probably be next Wednesday. Okay, and what we'll do is the test Wednesday, there'll be 2 tests. One of them will be in the morning, 9 to 10, something like that. The other one will be in the evening, 7 to 8 p.m. or whatever. And so you can pick either test. They'll be somewhat different, okay, as well as the test will be scrambled. So, everybody will be looking at something different, even though the questions and the answers may be the same. They'll be in different orders and stuff like that. And you'll be limited on time. So you won't have a ton of time to do it. So you're going to work your way through. So that's how it's going to work. So looks like we're still good. I don't see any questions. We're going to move on, okay? So here's your answers. Okay, we're gonna 1 and 2. I think we're pretty simple. You ought to go get it. Number 3, what's the difference between a surplus and a deficit for the government? A government surplus means taxes are greater than spending. In other words, the government receives more than they spend, and a deficit is the opposite. Taxes are less than what we spend. Right now, the projection for the deficit for the current year was about $1 trillion. It's now 3.3 trillion. And it's likely to end up a lot more than that because chances are we're going to spend even more money than we thought. Let me see if I can do my rolling camera here. I'll talk to my camera guy about this. Oh, there we go. Awesome. The bottom is no longer cut off. Okay. You should see what it looks like in here. It's pretty hilarious. If you hear any crashing, that's not a good sign, but I'll let you know if it's just another manic Monday. Woo, woo. Okay, there's your song, right? I forgot the song. And so you got the song. And then I know everybody wants to see my shoes today. They're my blue kicks. Let me get them in the light there. There they are. Can you see that pretty good? Can you see that pretty good? Yeah, with a emerald bottom. So very nice. So that's the shoe for the day. Gotta put my shoe back on here. Cover units 1 through 5, not unit 6. So we don't have to worry about unit 6 at all. Unit 1 through 5 is literally the only brand new thing we're going to cover the rest of the year is the Phillips curve. And there's a lot of stuff out there on the Phillips curve. Plus the Phillips curve is kind of easy. And so we're going to cover it. If you really focus, you can make perfect sense of it. So good questions, and we are definitely going to hit those. Okay, got it. All right, here we go. Some of the effects, contractionary policy, higher government deficits. Lower. They decrease because contractionary means you tax more, spend less. Taxes tend to increase and government spending decreases. Those are the tendencies for contractionary. Right now, obviously, we're using expansionary fiscal policy. Okay, so you got those 3. That's number 4. Number 5. Why does the budget deficit tend to rise during recessions? Deficits increase during recessions due to decreases in tax collections because people are making less, and increases in automatic stabilizers such as unemployment compensation and welfare because people are struggling. Okay? And so those are the primary reasons. And right now, you can imagine 30 people, and they're paying them out of employment compensation. Plus, they made special provisions to give people an extra $600 a week, which is means a lot of people are going to be making more from being unemployment. And Taylor's saying, wait, so the AP exam is just FRQs? Yes, it is. It's 45 minutes of FRQs. My guess is it may be 3 FRQs or maybe 4. Who knows? We're supposedly going to find out Friday, so we'll let you know. And the different exams will be different, although supposedly every single AP exam will be FRQs. And then it's a question: could it be 2? Could it be 5? I don't know. We'll find out. They'll be shorter than what we normally would have. All right, moving on. How does our analysis of the budget change if we have a cyclically adjusted budget balance? Okay, works out, and if you're at the natural rate of unemployment, you have a 0 budget surplus. That means you're perfect. If you still have a $500 million deficit, or like us, $1 trillion deficit, it means you're spending way the heck too much money given your level of income. And so someday, I don't know when, we're going to have to figure that out and take care of it. And we'll see. But we'll talk about that some more over the course of the next month. Okay, everybody got that? Moving on. And by the way, if you need to take additional notes, you have this on video. Okay, here we go. Number 9. Most economists believe the government should only balance its budget on average. Why? Because you should have deficits during a recession. It's basically that same answer. It makes sense, right? When things are tough, you're going to spend a little money. When things are good, you'll be okay. Moving on. What's the difference between debt and deficit? Okay, debt is the total debt. Right now, our total debt's 20 trillion, give or take. Our deficit is 1 year. Okay, so we have 20 trillion in debt that we're having to pay interest on. Our deficit it was going to be about $1 trillion this year. Now it's going to be well over 3 trillion and who knows how high. And we're going to add all of that deficit this year to the debt. Okay, just like when you borrow more, if you spend $5,000 more than you make this year and you have to borrow $5,000, you're going to have $5,000 more in debt. Whatever your debt was, it's going to be $5,000 higher. 2 problems posed by rising government debt. Crowding out, right? Crowding out is super simple. Crowding out is the government demands more loanable funds, or you could say there'll be less for the rest of us. But either way, the real interest rate goes up, making it more expensive. Crowding out will be on the exam. They'll figure out a way. Okay, and that puts pressure on future budgets because part of your budget is paying the interest you owe. The more debt you have, the more interest you pay. Well, nobody gets to do anything with that money you spend on debt. Okay, so if you're spending money on debt, it's like paying interest. It's like I don't get anything for that. I don't get cool. Next 25 years or whatever after I retire, for years and years and years, you're going to be paying me Social Security. Well, you don't owe it to me yet, and if I don't live, you don't have to pay it at all. But when you look at large numbers, a lot of people are going to live. You're going to have to pay it, and so those are future liabilities. They're implicit liabilities because I don't have to do any more work to earn that Social Security. And then Medicare kind of works the same way. Once I get 65 or whatever, I'll be eligible for Medicare, and for the next whatever number of years, you'll have to keep paying my bills. I got lag. Is the lagging really bad for everybody? Anyone else? Shoot. Okay. A lot of lag. Don't know why. Are you having trouble understanding me? Or is it just taking a while before we get the call, before you can ask? Okay, we'll do our best, guys. We'll do our best. I don't know what to do. There's only, there's obviously not a whole lot of people in school, so just to pause the load. Okay, let's deal with it the best you can. I will leave it open long enough for you to answer the magic question at the end of this so you get credit, because I want you to get credit. I'm very happy you're here. Okay, at the end of the fiscal year 2012, trillion and 16 trillion was owed to the public. How do economists explain this discrepancy? Because the government, the Social Security Trust Fund owns a bunch of government debt, and so they actually owe the money to themselves. Guys, believe me, it's still debt because they're going to have to pay that Social Security amount. So the real debt is the 16.7 trillion, not the 12 trillion. It is what it is. It's got to be paid eventually. Okay, so you're going to have to do that. And we're to the end now. We're going to move on. Okay, what you've really been excited and waiting for, module 30. Okay, and here we go. Okay, this, if you can take notes, we'll probably get to, they certainly can ask a banking question and you need to be ready for it. Okay, so work through that banking because we want to make sure we know banking things. I think we'll be good. We'll talk about them later. Budget surf, yeah, we're going to cover it as we go through. We don't need to cover that right now. Okay, first thing, expansionary fiscal policy. We're trying to help the economy. We cut taxes, increase transfers, or increase government spending. You know that. That's expansionary. We have a recession. We need to help it. This literally, we're doing all three of those right now. Okay, inflationary gap. We need contractionary fiscal policy. Okay, contractionary fiscal policy, we increase taxes, decrease transfers, decrease government spending. Those two are the opposite of each other. Cantaloupe just discovered how to chat. That's cool. And Sophie's frozen for like 4 minutes, but I got your message, Sophie. Yeah, guys, you may have to watch it on the recording. Hopefully the recording will be good. I hope we have better luck and it works out okay, because we're going to keep it brief, and I'd rather you be able to do it live. It's just easier for me and for you too, I think. Okay, a thing we got to know. Remember this, and you've been tested on this before, and hopefully you're good at it. What happens if the government spends and taxes? If the government spends and taxes, okay? Well, if the government spends and taxes, remember G gets the full multiplier. So let's assume that the MPF, or marginal propensity to consume, is 0.8, savings is 0.2, 1 divided by 0.2 equals 5. So we get a multiplier of 5. Well, then the spending gets a multiplier of 5. The tax multiplier is 1 less, or 4, because the initial amount isn't included. The initial amount isn't included. Okay? That's a little factoid. Hopefully we're good at that. Okay. When the economy goes into recession, automatic stabilizers kick in automatically. Even if the government had done nothing, unemployment compensation, the 3.3 million people that filed for unemployment last week, they would get unemployment compensation without the federal government doing anything new. What they did was they gave them more money, and they also extended the amount of time they could receive that money. And so they did some fiscal policy, some discretionary fiscal policy also, but the automatic stabilizer is that right away you get unemployment compensation. Also, if you don't make money, you don't have to pay taxes on that money, and so you're good. Okay? And so those are automatic stabilizers. They happen without any deliberate fiscal policy changes. That's an automatic stabilizer. Okay, so we got that. Keep moving. Okay, if we end up with crazy, we're doing really, really good, well, unemployment compensation goes down. People are working, they pay more taxes, and so we collect more taxes during really good periods. And once again, those automatic stabilizers happen without any deliberate fiscal policy actions. And we've talked about these things already. Hopefully you're getting this down. You're going to be able to talk about that because those are great things to ask on this FRQ exam. Okay. The cyclically adjusted budget balance. I feel like we've talked about this enough where you ought to start getting it right. And so it's right now, our cyclically adjusted budget balance is a deficit of about $1 trillion, which is not good. Okay, we need that to come down. It should be 0. And so we need to work that down, but that's not going to happen in the next year or two. Now we got other stuff we got to deal with. So the next couple of years, we're going to work on other things. But one of the things that may come out of this is that people realize it's like, hey, we need to get certain things under control. Maybe the government will work with each other a little bit better. That's good enough. If you know that, you're good. Okay, yeah, economists believe the government should balance the budget on average. We're not doing that, okay? moving on. Where was it? What does it say? I don't know. It used to be like 10 or 12 trillion. We've basically gone up $1 trillion a year now for 8 years in a row. And this year we're going to go up 3 trillion. So it's really getting pretty high. That's not great. We'd like to do better. Okay, crowding out. We talked about crowding out. Here's an example where they show the supply decreasing. This is the supply for everyone else except the government. Or you can simply increase the demand from the government. AP generally doesn't care. But the key is that interest rates in the loanable funds market, real interest rates increase. That's what the key is. As long as you get that, whether you use supply or demand to get there, you're going to be okay. Okay. Here's who's the government owe money to. You can see a ton of it. This is owing money to the U.S. people. Okay. What's green? That's China. And this is the Social Security Trust Fund that we owe 18% of our total debt to the Social Security Trust Fund. Well, there is no such thing as a Social Security Trust Fund. It's a fake account that says the government's going to pay us money someday, but the money doesn't exist today. So that one's a little problematic. Keep moving. These aren't going to be on the test. Okay. As you look at what we spend, most of our spending isn't on current goods or services where you're like, hey, I'm so glad I get that service. For instance, I'm really glad that I get education, that's 3%, transportation, that's 3%, medical research, that's 2%. There's got to be something else I'm really happy about. Yeah, and defense. I'm glad we have our Air Force and Army and all that stuff. So what you can see is we spend a whole lot of money on all kinds of things, most of it which you don't say, wow, I'm really glad I have that today. And so that's a little bit of a problem. We got some work to do on that. Yeah, here's money. There are implicit costs. All of this we're going to pay for, but in the future, we're not going to get any benefits already in the past. So it's like, not great. We're going to figure out, get through these FRQs and all that stuff. So it's like, take that time, do those 5 questions. They're at the end of every module. It says tackle the test. There's only 5 questions. Try to answer them and realize you just read about them. So you ought to be able to find the answers in the text if you don't know them right away. Okay, so G exceeds tax revenues. That's a deficit, right? Budget deficit. We don't know that there's a recession. The answer was B. Could be a recession, but not necessarily. Like a year ago, we weren't in a recession, but we were spending more than we make. So that's a deficit. Okay, and a positive budget balance would be a surplus. Okay, number 2, which one's expansionary? Taxes. If we increase tax by 100 million, that's down, but government spending increases by 100 million, that's up. Remember, this is a weird question. This one gets multiplied, let's make a number up, by 4. This one only gets multiplied by 5. This one gets multiplied by 1 less. So this is 100 times 5 is 500. Expansionary, but it's expansionary. That's that trick where you tax and spend the same amount, okay? So, and it doesn't matter if I make my multiplier 10, this one's 9, it still gives me an extra $100, okay, 100 million, okay? This one, if I decrease taxes by 100 million, that's positive. I decrease spending by 100 million, that's negative. This is 5, this is only 4. So this is the minus 100, so that one's not the case. Increase taxes by 100, that's negative. Decrease, that's negative. Those are both negative. And then decrease by 100, that's positive. Increase by 100, that's positive. And so the answer is both A and D. Cyclically adjusted budget deficit is an estimate of what the budget balance would be if real GDP were equal to potential output. Okay, that's a factoid. Probably not going to be on the exam, but it's nice to know what it means because they could ask you to explain something related to that. Okay, so cyclically adjusted budget deficit. Cyclically adjusted budget deficit is an estimate of what the budget balance would, if you adjust it for cyclically. Yep, that's it. Okay, so the answer is C. Moving on. During a recession in the United States, what happens automatically to tax revenues and government spending? A recession, taxes are going to go down and government spending is going to increase. And there it is. So that's a 6. Okay. Crowding out for sure. Government default, maybe, and if you keep spending more than you have, well, now we're going to get all of them right. The opportunity cost, right? What would you like to spend your future income on? Stuff. Instead, I'm spending it on interest payments and debt payments and higher interest rates. Okay, literally that is defined by that, right? Crowding out is higher interest rates caused by the government leading to decreased long-run growth. Okay, so all those are true. All right, we're going to finish up with, that's crowding out, right? Here's FRQ2. We're going to finish up with FRQ2. What I need you to do right now, assuming that you want credit for this, okay, is to send me the exact same information, but put a 1 in front of your class period. So if you're in 5th period, Brett Latham, 1-5, okay? If you signed in while you're starting the video, the sign in is gone. Okay. Okay. So you're going to put Brett Latham or your name. And then if it's 5th period, 1-5, not just 5, 1-5. Okay. So in FRQ number 2, you were supposed to draw this showing crowding out. Okay. So hopefully you did the supply and demand for loanable funds. And with that, I'm going to leave it up for about a minute to get you to chat back in and get your credit. We will see you tomorrow. We'll talk about 31. Wednesday, if you think your name's been deleted, mention that. Okay? Yeah, I don't know what's going on with comments and comment deleted or whatever. I think we're good. Look at that. You guys did great. Okay? Love you guys. Please take care of yourself. Social distancing, right? Social distancing. We need to stop this thing because I want to see your pretty faces and all again. And the more we do, the better it'll be. Okay, you got about 30 seconds left, and then I'm going to shut off the recording. Take care, and we'll see you tomorrow, 9:25. Don't be late. And if you didn't get something in, Raid Shadow Legend, James playing out for free. You guys are nuts. If for some reason you didn't get your message, send me the information I asked for via Remind, okay? And we are out. I am now ending the stream.